please come forward. May I have the password, please?
Fidelio.
That's right, sir. That is the password for admittance. But may I ask, what is the password for the house?
The password for the house.
Yes?
I'm sorry, I seem to have forgotten it.
That's unfortunate. Because here, it doesn't matter whether you have forgotten it or if you never knew it. You will kindly remove your mask.
So it begins. Welcome to another edition of FAR on Sunday night. And Sunday night's edition of FAR has been thus far. We have a guest this evening, and tonight's guest is none other than Jay Weidner. And Jay should be joining us in about, hopefully about 5 or 6 minutes or so. And I'm really fortunate and grateful to have Jay on tonight. Jay is one of the foremost deconstructionists of the films of Stanley Kubrick, and we're going to be looking at some of those films with Jay and trying to discern what Stanley Kubrick was trying to share with us through the arc of his cinematic expression and revelation in many, many ways. Stanley Kubrick was, in some ways, a secret society unto himself. He was a man that trafficked in symbolism and metaphor, and he did so because he was trying to share something with the rest of us, and he was playing a pretty high-stakes cat-and-mouse game, or so it seems. And Jay has spent a lot of time digging into the work of Kubrick and deconstructing a lot of the symbolism. The sort of the Rosetta Stone of Stanley Kubrick's films is 2001: A Space Odyssey, and I think that's, pun not intended, the launching point for where Jay takes his real journey with Stanley Kubrick. And then, of course, there is a whole series of films that unfold, some perhaps more important than others, on the back end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and like The Shining, and of course, Eyes Wide Shut, which I just played a very key sequence from for the intro of the show. So welcome, it's Sunday night. You're here on Free Association Radio with Robert Phoenix. And not only will we talk about Stanley Kubrick with Jay, but we'll also be talking about some of the other things that are going on concurrently, because what you'll find out tonight, hopefully, is that there is an interconnected web of significance, symbolism, and occurrence. So we're going to try and sort through, what Kubrick means in this greater tableau in terms of where we are now with our evolution as humans, for the most part, on this planet. As we race towards 2012, Jay is not only a decoder of symbols, but he's also an author, and he's also a filmmaker. Some of his films include Infinity, The Ultimate Trip, and what else does he have? 2012, The Odyssey, Time Wave, 2013, Magento, and The Mysteries of the Great Cross of Henday, I believe, is also a book and a DVD. We can find that out with Jay. Of course, his book is The Secrets of Alchemy. So Jay is he's an author, he's an alchemist, he's a filmmaker, and he's a guide for our journey into the symbolic realm of Stanley Kubrick and what's happening in our world, this experience of being on Earth in the year 2010 as we know it. The healthcare bill passed. If you've been to my website, robertphoenix.com, you'll see that I did a piece on slightly about the healthcare bill and some other things that included some of Jay's work and referencing his information regarding the coronal blast and what might be occurring with our sun. I also included a little bit of information regarding Nibiru, which we're going to talk to Jay about tonight and see what his take on Nibiru is, whether it's a smokescreen or whether it is the real deal and whipping by our planet in the not-so-distant future. So my kid is really into cartoons, and I spend some time with him on I think it's called Boomerang. It's a cartoon network for boomers, and it's for people like myself or anybody else that listens to this show that grew up with older cartoons, and it runs the gamut from Top Cat, although I'm seeing less Top Cat on there, to more modern cartoons, which they import from, I think, the Cartoon Network or Adult Swim, cartoons like Johnny Bravo or the Powerpuff Girls. So those are the more later iterations. Well, they've just started to show Thundar the Barbarian. And Thundar the Barbarian I've never seen it before. I stopped watching cartoons somewhere in the early 70s. And I only started watching them again when Ren and Stimpy made their debut. So I missed Thundar, which I think was primarily kind of an early 80s cartoon. And if anybody's out there, you can correct me later or fill me in on Thundar. But it's a fascinating cartoon. I'd never really paid a lot of attention to it before. But the whole premise of Thundar is that in the year 1994, there is a planet, a rogue planet that comes between the Earth and the Moon and completely wipes out the Earth. I mean, there's like pole shifts and all sorts of crazy stuff that happens. And Earth, as it evolves and moves forward, is this strange melange of high technology and sorcery and barbarianism. And Thundar he's an Aryan, and he's a blonde Aryan, and he has a sword, and it is the solar sword. So it's a sword, it's quite phallic, obviously, and it actually lights up and projects a beam of light. So Thundar is actually anchoring the sun, which of course is a very significant and central symbol in the cultic world of the Great White Brotherhood, the Aryan Enclave. So I think I have Jay on the line, and I want to jump into Jay tonight because we've got about an hour and a half with him. I want to set up the first hour. I want to talk with Jay. I want to really get into a deep flow with him, and then we'll bring in some calls later. So let's see if this is Jay on the line, and let's get this party started. Hi, this is Robert. Is this Jay?
So far it is.
Hey, Jay. How's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm really happy to have you here on my radio show, and look forward to sharing some time with you and seeing what's up in your world and getting the breakdown on Stanley Kubrick and moving forward in real time. So what happened to your website today? It was down for a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm trying to find out right now, but I do believe it's back up now. I'm looking at it.
It is up now. I checked prior to the show, and I put the one of the things that I do obviously is when I program the show, I try to keep my friends on Facebook abreast of what's happening, and then I posted on Facebook and I went to your site and it was down and somebody else corroborated. Does this happen often to you, or is this something kind of new?
It depends, when I did the first Stanley Kubrick article about the front screen projection last July, I started getting hit a lot with the somebody dumping on my server. So I don't know. They don't like the evidence getting out, I guess.
Did you hear that blast of white noise, by the way?
Yes, I did.
That was pretty interesting, huh?
Well, it is.
Yeah, that was not a sound effect on my end, trust me.
Oh, I thought it was, so I wasn't sure.
No, it was not. It was a Deus Ex Machina, apparently.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. How did you? First of all, you're a documentarian, you're a filmmaker, so your background is film, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're also an alchemist and a cryptographer. What drew you to Kubrick, and when did the light go on for you around him and what he was trying to do?
Well, now that's a very interesting story. Well, the first time that I ever heard of Stanley Kubrick was in 1965 when I was 12 years old, and they showed Dr. Strangelove on Saturday night at the movies for the first time. And my father and I sat and watched it. My father was an extremely right-wing Republican, and he got angrier and angrier at the film as it was going on, and I was only 12 years old and realized anything that could piss my dad off that much must be pretty dang interesting. So I latched onto the director, and then a few years later, when I was 15, my girlfriend took me to see 2001 in Cinerama, and I had my first religious experience of my life, and I couldn't even rise out of my seat at the end of the film. The ushers had to come and literally pull me out of my seat. I was completely thunderstruck and bewildered and astonished, and the numinous experience of watching 2001 as a 15-year-old was so overwhelming that I've never gotten over it. And at that moment, I decided that I wanted to be a filmmaker, and that there was nothing else in the world to be but a filmmaker. And so from then on, I went to Hollywood and I wrote screenplays and everything. And then in 1999, I was in France searching and researching for my book on the cyclic cross of Henday and alchemy at the end of time, and Kubrick died. And I believe it was May 9th, if I'm not mistaken. And he died, and they're going to kill me, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I've never ever heard this on my phone ever before, so I don't know what's going on.